My name is Trevor Christensen. I work at the Salt Lake Tribune. Basically, my job is to do the video versions of reporters' stories. Lunch Break is a series where I talk about doing social video for news. So first, we're gonna watch the video that I made for the Trib a couple weeks ago.
Maha has arrived in Utah. U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. joined a handful of Utah Republican lawmakers and EPA head Lee Zeldin Monday for a victory lap on the first stop of the Make America Healthy Again tour.
I'm very proud of Utah. It has emerged as the leader in making America healthy again.
Kennedy, a frequent source of vaccine and health misinformation, toured the University of Utah's Integrative Health Center and was given a demonstration of nutritious meals. Outside, he was greeted by about 45 protesters. State lawmakers took up his agenda by banning fluoride in water, stopping food stamp funds from going towards soda, and barring some food additives from schools. The fluoride ban made Utah the first state in the nation to ban the mineral, a move that was opposed by the Utah Dental Association.
The EPA is here today to make an announcement that wouldn't be happening if not for Secretary Kennedy.
During a news conference, Zeldin announced the EPA would review scientific data and are prepared to act to lower the threshold for fluoride in drinking water.
But we'd like to stand as a national experiment and run some programs. We want to be a pilot project.
Utah House Speaker Mike Schultz told reporters at the news conference that the possibility of states overseeing more federal programs also came up in a meeting. Kennedy's tour includes stops in Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico after attending the funeral of an unvaccinated child who died of measles in Texas.
Going into this, I didn't have much to go on, so I knew that basically my focus was going to be to try to help the viewer feel like they got an idea of what the day was like. Generally, when I'm on something like this, I'm working pretty closely with the reporter. In this case, it was Emily Anderson Stern. And so I'm kind of trying to figure out what she's going to write about and see what she's like holding on to, at the same time like making sure I'm getting visuals that are going to support that. Social is a really quick medium, and so I am going to want to have a lot of shots that I can cut to. Something I like to do is have stills that I can pull from, because, you know, a bunch of footage of a politician looking at a food demonstration at a college, like, it's not necessarily going to work. So I like to have a still camera on me so that I can just basically break up that tension. I kind of start this video with Emily saying, like, this is what's going on.
Maha has arrived in Utah. U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
It's supposed to be as informative as quickly as possible. And also, when I'm doing a video that I know is going to be for social, I'm thinking about editing the first part as tightly as possible, because, you know, I assume anyone who stayed for 50% of it, as long as the quality is, you know, the same, they'll stay till the end. But I want to catch you on the first 2 or 3 seconds, and so it's going to be a lot of quick cuts. It's going to be, you know, as exciting as we can make something like this. This day was a lot of shooting and then waiting and shooting and waiting, and so in those downtimes, that's when I was able to start working on culling my B-roll and bringing, you know, my photos in and basically doing like a really quick edit so that I could do a thing that is important to me, which is I like when I do these types of photos to have a little bit of movement. And so you'll see, you know, I do the first couple of frames, there's some movement in them. And it's pretty subtle typically, but I just want there to be that little bit of motion that catches your eye. So, you know, the flag waving as
45 protesters. State lawmakers
makes you focus on the photo more, makes it feel a little bit more alive, you know, mixing these kinds of aesthetics. So the process is typically Emily will be writing the thing and I'll be trying to do B-roll, and eventually when she has a rough draft, I'll take it and I'll start helping that rough draft make sense for the video. You know, the reporters are writing, and they're assuming there might be a couple photos, but they really have to tell you everything in the words. And something that I often find that I do is I'll take out a couple things and a reporter will be like, wait, but we need that context. And I'll remind them, like, well, we have visuals that we're actually working with. This is a video, and so I have a visual of this that will explain this idea to the audience. I want to take out as much as possible because, you know, there's no reason for these videos to be longer than they need to be. And, you know, 3 minutes is considered a long video for Instagram and TikTok. And so we have to be really efficient with our words. And because it's video, we have more context that we can show the viewer. And so that tends to be an asset in my experience. I don't think any of us got into print journalism to be on camera, so it's really nice when reporters are willing to go on camera. In my job, I have to do it sometimes, and I don't mind it. And sometimes it can be nice because, you know, you become your own tool and you learn how to present in a way that's easier for you to edit. But I like when the reporter is on camera because they're the one who is most intimately connected with their story, obviously. And so anytime I can get the person in front of the camera who's doing the actual reporting, that's much preferable. And so working with Emily is always really great because, you know, she's game and is really fast too. And that's the other thing is, you know, she needs to be working on her story and I need a track as fast as possible that I can be editing to. I have a template that I start all my videos with, and they just have a bunch of pre-made things, so I don't have to, you know, reinvent the wheel every time. This one has these paper textures that I've made that are just these rotating things, and so you can see in the background of these photos, I have something kind of interesting right here. You know, on quick turnaround stuff, I don't have time to go into After Effects and really hand animate anything, and so that's just an easy way to make sure that I can add a little bit of polish to a video but still get it out of the door quickly. The other graphic thing I want to talk about is this little thing of the, you know, yellow highlighter coming into frame and how I did that. In Premiere, you make a box like with this shape, and then you go to your blend mode and you choose darken, and that way the way it blends will allow the text to show up behind the yellow thing. Otherwise it'll look like this if I do it normal. So you want it to be darken. The other thing I did is I changed the transparency, and so the transparency early on is a little bit less, and I'm moving it. You can see it starts out fast and it kind of slows down. It's too much to go into animation right now, but you should look up the 12 principles of animation if you want to learn, you know, why you do things like this. This is basically the principle of slow in, slow out. So it's not just chunking in, it's, you know, it has some deceleration to it. I am really passionate about the sonic experience of these kinds of videos. So something I'm, you know, always advocating for in video is getting good audio. When I first got to the Trib, we had a Envato Elements subscription, which we still have. But I found there's not a ton of stuff on there that I like very much and is very appropriate for what we do, especially in news, especially where you need to be pretty aware of tone. So we license music from Tom Fox, who works with Johnny Harris. He's a really great composer, and he makes music that is really for this kind of work. And so, you know, if your newsroom has a budget at all, I highly recommend trying to find something like this. The other thing I do, you know, whenever there's a photo on, I like to have these, you know, click sounds.
About 45 protesters. State lawmakers took up his agenda by banning fluoride in water.
Again, with these one-day turnarounds, you can't do every little thing you want to do, but I really feel like it just helps bring the viewer in and make the video feel grounded and real. There's a sort of sonic grounding that this stuff helps to do with. I want to talk about some things I like about it specifically and things I change. The things I like are at the beginning. You know, sometimes you just get lucky, and I really just like this crash zoom on Zedlin.
Lawmakers and EPA had Lee Zeldin Monday for a victory lap.
This moment where RFK is saying something to him and then he looks and smiles and I zoom right at the time, I was really happy with that. I just think it's a compelling moment, you know, and you don't always get that, but when you find it, it can be really nice. The other thing that I like is, you know, the video starts with Emily saying,
Maha has arrived in Utah.
And then we've got this clip of RFK coming out of a trailer, and I just really like that clip. The thing I would change, though, is I actually wish I had just started with RFK saying, with Emily saying, Maha has arrived in Utah, because I just think that would be more compelling.
Maha has arrived in Utah.
And then we can have her. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. This kind of stuff, you're making so many decisions so quickly, you can't get it all, but, you know, every day getting better. Thank you so much for watching this whole thing. I'm going to be doing this more often, just talking about, work that I'm doing, ways we're approaching stuff at the Trib. I think social video for news is such an interesting field, and I want to be talking more about it. If you like this, it would mean a lot to me if you would share it with a colleague or a friend, just to get the word out that that this is a project I'm working on now. Thank you.